Let's try and let's look at some other options. I'm thinking, like, well, I don't want to be a pacifist, but
and I know I like Lindsay. I think Lindsay likes me. I don't get this neo-conservatism on crack.
It doesn't seem very constructive.
If you look at a map of the globe, where we own Iraq, and then you've got Iran in the middle, and we own Afghanistan. Are we going to really, what is that? How many?
The one in the middle.
2,000 miles, 3,000? I mean, how many miles of terrain does the United States have to occupy?
Oh, as much as we can go into debt for.
All of it.
All right, joining us now, Reza Aslan. He's the editor of Tablet and Pen, Literary Landscapes from the Modern Middle East. It's an anthology that is actually dedicated to the people of Iran. So
tell us about it.
Good day to have you on.
Yeah, it's a collection of contemporary poetry, fiction, short stories, nonfiction, translated from Arabic, Urdu, Persian, and Turkish, and it's put together in such a way as to tell the story of the modern Middle East, not through sort of the words of invaders and colonialists, but through the words of their greatest poets and writers. It's an attempt, really, to just kind of reframe the perception that we have.
The perception of the Middle East, and like, for instance, with Iran, most Americans from 79 forward see it as a regressive, reactionary, radical regime, and have no idea what an extraordinary culture
and people
the Persians have.
Modern young people of Iran.
Culture, incredible music, one of the greatest literary traditions in the world, and these are really the only ways that we can get to know each other. You know, we're at a time right now, we've all talked about this a million times before, in which you know, anti-Muslim sentiment, anti-Middle Eastern sentiment is at unprecedented levels. Islam and just people of the Middle East in general are being seen increasingly as other, as foreign, exotic, as not us. And the only way to break through those kinds of walls and barriers is through the arts. I mean, that's the universal language that helps us get to know each other.
To better understand the culture underlying the politics.
What would you say are some of the conventional myths about the region?
Well, I guess the biggest is that the region defines itself solely through the lens of religion. I mean, that's how we look at it. When we think about Iran, we think about it, you know, as this sort of theocratic state, when in reality, as we found out last year, it's an incredibly complex, diverse, eclectic society. And one thing that I can tell you, and you would find this out if you just read their poetry and their fiction, is that they are deeply nationalistic, which is why when we were laughing at what Lindsey Graham was saying, I mean, he actually believes that if we are going to deal with Iran's nuclear ambitions through a military outlet, then we're going to have to neuter the entire country. Well, listen, the Iranians, as we know, hate their own government. They absolutely do. They would like nothing more than a change in regime.
This is important for people to understand.
They are also, with the possible exception of Americans, the most patriotic, most nationalistic people on earth. This isn't Iraq. This isn't Afghanistan. These aren't sort of fake countries put together. And if you attack Iran, it's the best way to ensure that this government goes absolutely nowhere.
You actually unify Iran, and the Iranians, unlike a lot of our so-called allies in the Middle East, the public likes America. The majority of the public.
So what's the best case? If the goal is to have Iran be peaceful and brought into the community of nations, what's the best case as you see it playing out over the next year or two?
Well, look, you've got to address Iran's concerns. I mean, you know, Iran is a threat to America's national security. But from the Iranian perspective, we're kind of a threat to their national security. You were talking about Pakistan and Afghanistan. Don't forget Turkey, Kuwait, Oman, and the Persian Gulf. We've actually drawn a circle of American troops around that country. So if they're a little bit paranoid, they've kind of got a right.
Well, they were paranoid long before that.
Well, you're
talking about the government. You're talking about the government of Ahmadinejad.
Well, and that's just it, is that you're talking about actually quite a fractured government. You know, even amongst Ahmadinejad's own supporters, they're going after each other.
By the way, who is running Iran right now? It's not Ahmadinejad. Is it the clerics?
Question.
We don't even know who's running that country.
We have no idea. Is it the military? Is it the religious leadership? Is it the president? This is the most fractured. I think right now the Revolutionary Guard are increasingly taking control over the political spectrum.
Reza Aslan, thank you so much. The book, once again, is Tablet and Pen, Literary Landscapes from the Modern Middle East. Thank you so much. A great perspective. Up next, what, if anything, did we learn today?